Is everyone ready to get started?
Yeah, Shauna made me hyper with this can.
Okay, I want to welcome everyone to the Grant County Fiscal Court meeting, Tuesday, June 4th, 2019. And I've got Colton Simpson, who works for the Grant County Fiscal Court, also the deacon at Williamstown Baptist Church. He's going to lead us in prayer, and then afterwards we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day. We thank you for the many blessings that you've given us, Lord. We ask that you give the court wisdom and keep them in your guidance, Lord, and that we may do everything according to your will, Lord. And we thank you for forgiveness that's found in Jesus Christ, and it's his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. You may be seated. Thank you, Colton.
Thank you, Colton.
Okay, first, if I can have the clerk call roll.
Registered Humphrey.
Present.
Registered Riley.
Present.
Registered Coldarn.
Present.
Judge Dilson.
Present. First thing on the agenda, approve the minutes. Present for a motion to approve the minutes for regular meeting dated May 21st, 2019, and the special meeting dated May 24th, 2019.
Having read and reviewed the minutes from May 21st, 2019, and the minutes from May 24th, 2019, make a motion we approve them as printed.
I will second.
I have a second. If there's no further questions, all in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just on the 24th, I was not able to attend that meeting, so I'll abstain
Okay.
on that, but
Make a
approve
note
on the
that-
others.
Measures Codar abstains from special meeting. So all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving down to fiscal matters. Present for review a motion to approve the claims drawn on the general fund, the road fund, jail fund, dated June 4, 2019, along with transfers as presented.
I make a motion to approve the claims drawn on the general fund, road fund, and jail fund dated June 4th, along with the transfers requested as presented this evening.
I second.
I have a second. If there's no further questions, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, present for review to the Grant County Treasurer's Cash Position Report for the month of May 2019. No action is required. Is there any questions on the review of the County Treasurer's Cash Report? If there is none, we'll move on to the second page for appointments. Present for a motion to reappoint Peggy Updike to serve as the Grant County Treasurer, said term beginning July 1, 2019, and it expires on June 30th, 2023, at a salary established annually through the budget appropriation process.
And this is, you want to say that's pursuant to KRS.
Okay.
As
Need a motion?
Okay, as pursuant to the KRS, the fiscal court, Grant County Fiscal Court hereby reappoints Peggy Updike to serve as the Grant County Treasurer, said term to be on July the 1st, 2019, and to expire on June the 30th, 2023, at a salary to be established annually through the budget appropriation process.
I will second.
I have a second. If there's no further questions, all in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You've been reappointed, Peggy. And that was corrected, Shauna, on it.
Yeah, that's what she
Okay.
said.
Okay, item number 2 on the appointments. Present for a motion to appoint Aaron Hurley to serve as a laborer for the Grant County Road Department effective June 10th, 2019, at an hourly rate of $13.25 an hour.
I make a motion to appoint Aaron Hurdley of Williamstown to serve as a laborer for the Grant County Road Department at an hourly rate of $13.25 effective June 10th, 2019.
I second.
I have a second. If no further questions, all in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I have a question, though.
Yes.
That puts you back to fully staffed? Or kinda? Okay, because we had 2, but then I didn't, okay.
Yeah, he's had that vacancy for a while,
Yeah.
and with summer coming up,
Okay.
tree trim and everything
'Cause
else.
technically, we had up to 2. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All in favor, or
Yeah, we said aye, but then I just wanted
any
to clarify.
opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Okay. Okay, present for a motion to reappoint Michael Drysdale to serve as a member of the Kenton County Airport Board effective July 1, 2019, expires on June 30th, 2023. Just before, get a motion on that, he came highly recommended. He had served on the board for the past 4 years and is highly recommended by the airport board as a excellent board member. So I just wanted to point that out, just asking for reappointment.
Now, does his appointment go to June 30th or June 20th? My paper says June 20th.
June 30th,
That should say 30th.
and mine says June
The
30th.
reappointment is on your copy? No, on the copy you'll sign,
Oh,
is what
okay.
he's
Yeah,
referencing.
I'll correct that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Michael Drysdale to serve a 4-year term as a member of the Kenton County Airport Board. Said term to be effective July 1, 2019, and expire on June 30th, 2023.
I second.
I have a second. If no further questions, all in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'll fix that.
Okay. Item number 4, present for a motion to appoint Willie Dale Lawrence to serve as a committee of 1 for Sheriff Brian Maines to prepare the Grant County Sheriff's Tax Settlement for 2018.
I make a motion to appoint Willie Dale Lawrence to serve as the committee of 1 for Sheriff Ryan Maines to prepare the Grant County Sheriff's Tax Settlement for year 2018.
I'll second.
I have a second. No further questions. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving down to new business.
This is on your addition.
Yeah. On the addition we have for a resolution, number 1, under the resolution on the additions, I have a motion to approve a resolution number 2019-13, a resolution adopting and approving the execution of an agreement between the Grant County Fiscal Court, the Corinth Volunteer Fire Department, and the Corinth Rural Fire Board.
And this would also grant the judge the
Execute.
permission to sign that agreement.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2019-13, adopting and approving the execution of an agreement between the Grant County Fiscal Court, the Corinth Volunteer Fire Department, and the Corinth Rural Fire Board.
I second.
I have a second. If no further questions, all in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So that
Chuck,
resolution
do you
takes
want
care
to
of
explain a
this.
little bit about what these actually
These two
do
are?
to the court a
Yeah.
little bit? Why we have to do that?
Yeah, the 2 agreements, and this goes back a number of years, when,
About what, about 6
it's
or
when
7?
the county started collecting the fire dues on your tax bill, the $36.
No,
I'm
$25.
sorry, $25. 36 and
The
911.
911.
$25. When that happened, about 6, 7, 8 years ago, the concern was with the city of Corinth and Jonesville, more so than Dry Ridge and Crittenden because of the population, is that the law didn't allow them to mail out fire due payments to the citizens in their area. So what happened was the county had an agreement that they was already offsetting each one of the fire departments $25,000. So if they gave Corinth $25,000 and Corinth was restricted of sending out their fire dues, whatever they received off the tax bill, if people opted out, could be less than what they were operating the year before, and it did. And that's what happened in the city of Corinth and actually the city of Jonesville. City of Dry Ridge, city of Crittenden, they were generating more revenue.
And Williamstown.
And I'm sorry, I left Williamstown out. Williamstown was generating more revenue off of that service fee that was on your tax bill versus the other two. So what had happened was we were giving them the difference to make them whole back in the day. So if they were collecting at that time, I think somewhere around 49,000. So basically, they're taking what they collect in on the fire dues and what we
Would have previously given them.
previously
shortfall.
given them 25,000. It makes up the difference. So we pay them out up to 25,000 to make that $49,000 whole. Jonesville is similar to the same thing, except they have contracts with Owen County. Corinth does now, but they've had contracts with Owen County for a number of years. They receive money from Owen County. They receive the fire dues, and then we pay them the difference of what they receive in the fire dues. So their matches are a little different between the two, but they're under the $25,000 agreement that's been out there for many years.
And basically what happened when that $25 fire dues was implemented countywide, it negatively impacted the two smallest departments because it's based off of parcels of land. Those two districts do not have as many parcels of land that are taxed at the $25 per an amount. And to Chuck's point, it was agreed upon to keep them whole, that they would not be negatively impacted, and in fact, financially they were. And so each year they come to the governing body after the property taxes are collected at the sheriff's department, and not every year is it the exact amount because it depends on how many parcels of land people paid and if they opted out. So.
Okay. Any further questions?
Thanks.
So for, do one also for Jonesville?
Yeah, so number 2 on it's same type of motion. Motion to approve resolution number
2019.
Yeah, 2019.
2019, yeah.
2019-14, a resolution approving the execution of the agreement between the Grant County Fiscal Court and the Jonesville Volunteer Fire Department. Also need a motion on that.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-14, that being a resolution adopting and approving the execution of an agreement between the Grant County Fiscal Court and the Jonesville Volunteer Fire Department.
I second.
I have a second. Any further questions? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So that takes care of item 1 and 2 on the new business. Let's
Back it up here.
brings us down to item 3. Present for a motion to approve the salaries for the employees of the Grant County Fiscal Court along with the Sheriff's Office and the Grant County Detention Center. And this is for the upcoming fiscal year. You all have that in front of you.
I make a motion to approve the salaries of employees of the Grant County Fiscal Court along with the Sheriff's Office and the Grant County Detention Center as presented.
I'll second.
I have a second. If no further questions, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, present for a motion to declare surplus as the needs of the county. The items listed in attachment A as will be listed and to run in the local paper showing public auction will be held on June 29th, 2019, at the Grant County Road Department, located at 505 Hopperton Road, Dry Ridge, Kentucky. You've got a list, and the list is ranging from the Grant County Fiscal Court items, which is all the road department. This is old equipment that's been replaced, that's just been sitting there. We've been paying insurance on, along with the detention center surplus. And you can tell by the years of them, both of these are no longer in use, but we've been paying insurance on. And then the sheriff's office has 3 cruisers. One of them is wrecked. The other one they use for parts, so it'll be all sold as surplus. Then Parks and Recs has an 84-inch bush hog finish mower, and then also a furnace. And these will be the items we're declaring surplus, but for the auction purpose, the auction will also be selling items that we surplus at the beginning of the year, some furniture from the building, along with the Grant County Library had stuff on the remodel that we're going to be listing at the auction sale that they've declared surplus. Along with that, the City of Dry Ridge is going to be auctioning stuff at our auction that they've declared surplus, and the City of Williamstown will be auctioning stuff that they've declared surplus, along with the sheriff has forfeiture property that he'll be selling at the auction. So it's going to be a pretty good size auction on the 29th.
And Chuck, that accounted for some of the contents that were in the old county road barn, or have we cleaned that out? Or
they're actually,
like vending machines and like.
Yes, they've cleaned it out.
So will those items be sold, or were they taken
No,
to
they were
the
taken to scrap yard.
Okay, I couldn't recall if they were moved somewhere else. And how will we advertise this? Like, just put it on our Facebook pages?
Well, by statute, we have to
Yeah, I
advertise
know
1 week in the paper.
in the paper,
But we're going to be advertising the week before just to satisfy statute. Then the week of the auction, we'll be advertising in the paper, along with the ads running on all of our Facebook pages, the sheriff's, the cities, and the county's Facebook pages.
Chuck, too, I noticed out the side there's a little,
Asterisk,
yeah, double arrow.
that's saying that we have a title for it.
Okay.
And some of it wouldn't be a title, we'll do a bill
Yeah.
of sales.
That's fine.
Okay.
I just sort
Road
of
grader.
didn't know if it meant anything or not, so I was just
Who
asking.
will be the auctioneer? I was curious.
Myself.
Oh, great. Taking it back like your dad
Yeah.
used to do too, huh?
Well, myself and Brian Maines.
Okay.
so.
Well, give us a test run. How would that go? Red one, $1, $2. I was just curious.
Save money on paying an auctioneer.
I know. Thank you for that. That's a good steward. I make a motion to declare as surplus the items listed within attachment A as provided to us this evening and as discussed, for the ad to be ran in the local Grant County News showing public auction to be held on June 29th at the Grant County Road Department, located at 505 Hopperton Lane in Dry Ridge, Kentucky.
I second.
I have a second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Sold.
Moving down to departmental reports, present for review the Grant County Animal Shelter Report, Grant County Building Inspector's Report, the Grant County Road Supervisor Report for the month of May 2019. No action required. Do you have any questions or comments on the department reports?
I just got a quick question. What's the Screaming Eagle Adventure Park? Did you see that on there? Is it? They own the zip lines?
Yeah, at the Arc, yes.
Okay.
Ticket booth, gear up, shack. So they just basically renamed it or rebranded what they already had there, probably, maybe? Okay.
I know they're separate entity of the Arc. They're on Arc property. I'd be honest, if that's the name of the company, I didn't know that was their name, but
Oh, I see what you're saying then.
I don't have intimate knowledge of it, but my understanding is that they were installing new zip lines.
New, okay.
It's a what?
New zip lines.
Oh, okay.
And 4th of July is coming up, so we got us a tent permit.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Firecrackers, huh?
Oh.
questions?
Nope.
Okay, we'll move on. Moving down to Judge Executive Report, the only thing I really need to report on right now is that been working with Steve Tatum. I don't know if you all noticed this before, but they had cleaned up back here behind the courthouse. There's a fallen tree and grown up, and they got that. They caught that one day. I know they're busy, but they helped beautify the backside of the courthouse to make it look better. They've been out on the roads working. I appreciate it, Steve. Myself, I'll be attending training Thursday and Friday for the Alcohol Beverage Control Administrator position. And then I'll also be attending training with the magistrates next week. So some planning and zoning coming up. And then the week after that would be the judge and magistrates training that week. So June's the week of training. So we're going to be all out on training. Also, just as we mentioned, declared surplus, let everybody know that on the 29th, Saturday at 10 a.m., that auction will be held on at the County Road Department. Anybody that wants to come out, and I think stuff will go cheap, some things will go high, but it will benefit having a crowd to bid on it. With that being said, I'll move down to the magistrates. Jacqueline, do you?
Standard weekly, monthly meetings within the community, preparing with Colton to host our Work Ready Community Committee tomorrow, where we're aggressively updating our narratives to submit that to Frankfurt by fall timing as we seek a 2-year extension. Just normal business fielding inquiries from citizens pertaining to their roads, probably hot and heavy around the Williamstown Lake, not just the Williamstown side, but affecting the Dry Ridge side as those roads are deteriorating and it's summertime, so people are coming to their homes, their second homes, most of them from the Ohio, Cincinnati region, and they're noticing that the roads are bad, and we know that. So just standard stuff.
Okay, in response to that, Steve, do you know, how are we doing on those roads out there as far as scheduling to get them up to snuff, or?
Passing in the Cardiff area, Morgan Creek today.
And that road is rough, depending on which side, like the one headed towards, is that Harrison County that way, where Mr. Wright lives? Oh, my God, the other way. Okay, so the other side, well, both sides are, yeah.
But like out around the lakes is where,
Hopefully be there next week.
Yeah, I would just anticipate we're going to get more
Yeah,
with
because-
it being traveled more.
yeah.
They're calling for rain every day.
I know, like 6 days.
You can't get blackout for raining.
Yeah, and I know you also went out with a gentleman, was it yesterday, on the roads we're trying to get monies on? Yeah, okay. So hopefully that'll be coming soon. Also, I think we need to be aware of the US 25 yard sale, I believe, is this weekend. So, slow down, safety on the roads with people being out there. And as Chuck related to, it is going to be a month of training, planning and zoning next week, and again, a CAECO conference the week following. And I just encourage, if anyone's got any problems, please let me know on your roads.
Down District 3, road issues, I've talked with Steve or emailed Steve. Steve's taking care of them promptly, and I commend them for that. That's been a great working relationship with our county workers. Same thing in the parks, and working with the solid waste coordinator, turning in some properties that we've had some complaints on, and getting those places addressed, and also with the building inspector, same thing, properties that needed addressed, taken care of. We've got a lot of roads in the counties, a lot of mileage in the counties on these roads. I get a lot of complaints on a lot of these roads, and when we go out and check with Steve, find out it's not a county road, it's a state road. And, who realizes that these state roads are out in the middle of nowhere, that the state is responsible for them. So try to explain that to some of these people. They kind of get upset. Well, what's the state doing with the road over in here? I commend our county road department on getting things done on our county roads a lot faster than the state gets done on their roads. They address the issues a lot faster here when we're able to do it. So I know the state has a different process, but slowly but surely we'll get these things addressed and get them taken care of. We hope.
Why can't we get the state to put signage up saying state route, whatever?
Well, they actually are labeled, but people just don't know the difference. They just assume everything falls here. I mean, it says 1993. If it's a numbered numbered road, that's a state road. If it's in most instances typed out on a green placard, that's a county road, and then that's the same with cities.
Yeah, some state roads will have the roads name signs on, but they'll also have the state route numbers on it.
Like Warsaw Road, Kentucky 467,
Yeah.
Knoxville
Right.
Road, Kentucky 467.
In most instances.
One of the things we've tried to do, we've
Unless
had
they're
a
stolen.
request a couple times to get a road sign on Knoxville, but because that's what people know it as, but every time that we have put the sign up, it's been stolen.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah, we did it.
They want to hang it in their bedroom and barn and garage.
And those,
Don't give them any ideas, Jack.
Well, they were like that's illegal. Or shoot a gun at it as a target.
We'll put them up about 50 feet up in the air.
off the record.
That's all Roger has. You have anything to report on, Todd?
Oh, Todd, as you come, I did want to compliment you and the service. I was able to attend a few Fridays ago the 5th grade graduation, and I know Judge Dills was there as well at Williamstown. And I just wanted to thank you again for that program that you do within the 5th grade. And it was sad to hear some of those stories, but the reality is it is so true in this community. So thank you, and keep letting us know if there's things we could do budgetarily to help support that.
I think we've got it figured out in next year's budget to get a little bit more money for that program. But if you looked at the paper, we were in the paper for 2 weeks, and I had the four other schools, and then Williamstown in different papers. But you can read, if you didn't read their letters, all of the essay winners, which I have them write an essay of what they learned in the STAND program, and all of the essay winners were actually printed in the paper. So you could read what these 5th graders were writing about. And as she alluded to, several of them were written about either to family members or, about family members that either passed away, or that's why they were living with their grandparents because their parents are drug addicts, or they're in jail, or they passed away. So if you read those articles, that comes from the STAND program, and I think it was very successful this year. I had really good feedback. The schools were very receptive. The kids seemed to be very receptive. And it's a continuing program. Like next year, I'll go to the 6th grade and I'll give them a test of what we learned the year before. And then I'll also do that to the 7th grade next year. Now, what we're trying to figure out is when that switch comes where that right now they all think tobacco's bad, which it is bad, but what year does that switch where all of a sudden tobacco and vaping is not as bad as it was when I was a 5th grader? Mm-hmm. So we're trying to figure out so we can give a refresher course in the 7th grade year between 7th and 8th, or whatever year that is. So we're compiling statistics.
Well, I was just thankful that it didn't just talk about tobacco. I mean, many of us grew up on a tobacco farm, because the reality is we've got a lot more bigger problems than tobacco, and I appreciated that it actually touched on methamphetamines and those things, because a lot of times people don't want to talk that to a 5th grader, but we ought to be. So,
well, when it was designed, and when Erlanger Ellesmere and I helped a little bit design the program, that's what was aimed for, is to hit the major problems we're having, which is methamphetamines, heroin, opioids, and stuff like that. So we covered that because, as in my presentation, knowledge is power. The more reason you have not to do something, then the more likely you are to make a better and informed decision. If you don't know, then you don't know how to make that decision. So that's the program is very successful. I had nothing but positive feedback.
Well,
so I really enjoy it.
You're changing lives, so
I hope so.
keep it up.
I hope
Making
so.
a difference.
Everybody's out of the academy. Deputy Williams is on the road on his own. Deputy Brennan Dills is in week 4 of his FDO program. So that's gradually making that. He's got probably 8 more weeks to go. It's a 12 to 13-week program where before he's loose on his own. But Deputy Williams is on the road now, so we're able to do a little bit more. So they're out there. All the vehicles are on the road now. The ones we ordered a year and a half ago. So they're on the road. So that's working well for us. So hopefully that continues to go the way it's going. The auction is something I think that is a big deal. There's a lot of stuff to be auctioned off on that day, but the stand program went really well. Our recruits are out on the road. We're doing the best we can. There's a lot that goes on in this county.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you.
rural.
Are we fully staffed now?
Yes.
Good.
We are.
For
Oh, yeah.
You're fully staffed
doubt.
according to budget. Now, come on.
Mike, as we speak about training, Mike Webster, our jailer, he's in training this week for jailer's training, and he's not with us tonight. He was going to send me the numbers. There was an incident with one of the Class D workers out on the side of the interstate that were cleaning underneath the bridges. He's okay. It concerned us. At first, they thought he'd overdosed, which was a concern that he got into something he found on the road, somebody dropped off to him. This was supposedly his first day on work release, which would have been odd, or on the road crew, which would have been odd. But come to find out, when they got him to the hospital, he ended up having pneumonia. He tested negative for drugs. They tested all the inmates were out on the work release. They were all tested negative for drugs. So that's a good sign that, they're doing a good job. But that stuff could have happened. But luckily, he had just passed out. When they used the Narcan on him a couple times, he come to. It gave the indication that he may have been on some sort of heroin or opiate, but that doesn't appear to be the issue after the drug test. So they're treating him, and he's doing fine, and we'll be returning back to the jail. Is he back?
I don't know that he's back.
Okay. So anyway, I don't have the numbers, and he would have had it, but he tied up with that. Moving on down, I have 2 of our constables here out of District 2, District 3. Dan Sanders and Michael Knighty. They wanted to come before the court and just let the court know what they have going on.
First off, we're not asking for anything, and we're not complaining. Okay? Since January, we got involved with the Grant County school system, Mr. Morgan, to do school security checks. During that time, we have been in the Grant County schools 70 times at no cost to the county. We've also done church and business checks around 50. Assist, it would either be police department or roadside or fire department or emergency or medical, 34. Calls, we've went out on 19 calls where we have been called personally. Most of the time, the sheriff's office is called in to assist. Summons, we've done 31 summons from attorneys outside the county or where attorneys have contacted us to do summons. Training, we've done like 30 hours online training. We've done 8 hours active shooter training with Campbell County. Range time with Dry Ridge, sidearm and rifle training. We scored an average of 91%. The officers that went there all qualified. Also, that was at no cost to the county. Do y'all have any questions?
Do these statistics include all 3 districts or just your 2 districts that you represent?
Basically, all 3.
All 3, okay.
All 3 districts. We are out and about patrolling. If we see something, we call dispatch. Dispatch knows where we're at and what we're doing. We don't bite off more than we can chew. We always call in the sheriff's office or KSP. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Michael, is there anything you want to add, or Danny speak?
Lightning.
And I don't know how I got voted mouse piece.
Go ahead, Dave. You come up. Yeah, we'll move on down, even if he's responding, I don't know if you're responding, but we'll move down to citizens' address, so
That's where I'm at.
you're under the citizens' address now.
I want to talk for a few minutes on the interlocal EMS agreement proposal by Dry Ridge, City of Dry Ridge. It was inadvertently brought up by Magistrate Coldiron on the 21st of May in her
Time to speak.
Yeah, in her time to speak and what she did, and she attended, and they talked about the interlocal agreement. And then, in the Grant County News on the May 23rd issue, there's an article on it. And page 19, which is the second part of this, according to 2018 run volumes, this is quoted from Dry Ridge, what I'm giving you. They made 147 runs in the county in 2018. And what needs to be clarified, there's a fiscal year and a calendar year. This just says, according to 2018 run volumes, they made 147. Page 19, also on page 19, quoting, based on the per run formula, the county last year would have paid, and I'm just talking about what the county's responsibility is on this. I don't care about what I do, but Williamstown, the rest of them, forget them. It's just talking about the county. So based on the per run formula, the county last year would have paid them $46,518, and that's based on their stated wanting to be paid compensation at the rate of $316.45 per EMS run outside the city limits of Dry Ridge. That's what they said. That's what they stated in this article. So the county is enjoying a status of getting back to wellness. That's my thing. The county is getting back to wellness. If you look at our county government, awesome. Compared to what us citizens have been used to for the past, I don't know how many years, especially that I've been coming to court, this is a class act. The detention center, same way. We've got good management at the detention center, and you can see it. It's really happening. And I think like the road department and all the departments in the county, they're working together collectively and they're communicating, and there's a lot of respect, and you can see it. And the best thing of all, the citizens of Grant County, they are having some kind of wellness. I don't know, And I say that because last year Dry Ridge made 147 runs, they said, 2018. And 2 years, I went to these meetings the past couple of years. Dry Ridge had meetings about EMS and wanting to get paid for runs to cities and out in the county. And this is their data. For 15-16, the year 15-16, out in the county, they made 847 runs. And this is a shared responsibility, you might say, between AMR and Dry Ridge. And supposedly, AMR made as many runs out in the county as what Dry Ridge said they did in 15-16, 847 runs. And then in 16-17, they made 744 runs. Dry Ridge EMS made 744 runs. And that averages out to 796 runs a year for those 2-year cycle. So if you take their 300 and now, last year, they only made 147. That is an 81.5% decrease in runs out in the county.
Let me intervene on that a little bit, because in the paper, did it say the city limits? Because what Dry Ridge is doing, they've actually absorbed their whole district.
Fire district.
Fire district,
The new proposal.
the new proposal.
So
Which-
wherever they respond to normally on a fire call, they're absorbing that.
Like your house, Dave, is in the Dry Ridge Fire District.
Is in the Dry Ridge,
Right.
and the county would not be accounted for that run. But I still think you're right, the runs are down.
Yeah.
Right, but, I mean,
I'm
I'm just
And-
going by what the paper says.
I know,
You know,
Dave, the
and-
other
and-
thing to keep in mind, that raw data that we had gotten a few years ago from the city of Dry Ridge, no one's to say in those CAD reports that they got from KSP if they were all true ambulance calls and what type. Was it first responders? Was it a basic life support? Was it advanced life support? But you bring up a very
good
valid
point.
point, and something that I have, thought about, based off of current formula, not near the amount of runs
No.
that we had previously
I don't
seen.
think
But I
so
also
either.
know you can manipulate data to look certain ways, and especially when it is very complicated to pull the CAD reports and tell, was it an accident? Did the constables respond, or was it AMR? Was it Dry Ridge? What type of response was it?
Was it a fire call where they automatically send EMS on the fire call, whether they're utilized or not?
And turned away, but anyway, so proceed.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I say-
that's what we're hearing now, is
Yeah, I know, we hear all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
The brochure says this, but in reality, it's this. In God we trust, all others bring data. Anyway, so if you take the average runs, 796, and times that times $316.45 a run, that's $251,894 that the county would pay Dry Ridge if we had that many runs. I mean, they come out and said 46,000. On last year's attempt at an interlocal plan, it was stated that a cap would be implemented to have a cap on the maximum amount payable by each county, each government body, whether city or the county. This new proposal has no such cap mentioned. And I don't know if it's been discussed or if it's been thought about or.
It has been discussed. That's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
That interlocal agreement that's went out has already been modified.
Oh, I know, and that's why it's still in the proposal and the discussion stage and the negotiating stage, and so everybody should be aware of the traps on this thing. And the last thing I want to bring up is, stated on page 19 of this, the city, which is Dry Ridge, also can refuse to provide EMS to the delinquent entity.
And that's actually being changed.
That has
too.
to be taken out.
Yeah, I know, but this is what was brought up in that meeting. And I don't know what person in their right mind said that, but they're not in their
Well, see,
right
here's-
mind
here's
because.
the issue. They draft the interlocal agreement for us to
Right,
review.
to have a discussion.
The media gets a hold of it, becomes public knowledge on something that's not even been discussed. I mean, that was being
We hadn't even
reported in the
seen-
newspaper before I started breaking it down with the county attorney.
Nor a copy shared
and
with
going over
us.
issues. So, it's not to want to keep anything out of the public's eyes. I'm all for transparency when the time comes for transparency, but it's kind of hard to have discussions when the news is reporting on stuff that is not even going to be considered.
Well, and the other thing go along with that, Judge, is there's a new governing body in Dry Ridge.
Yeah.
And so we've been blasted for 2 or 3 years with the old, and now we come out with this new, and do they know what's going on? And when they print this in the paper, and this is supposedly from that council meeting, then here we are sitting saying, what are they intended to do, and we better take a deep, peel back the onion and really look at this. And lastly, I'll give you, Judge, when they did this last year, I sent an email with a proposal to the fiscal court, each member of the fiscal court, just as a citizen, just my thoughts on it. And also, there's also a paper that I gave to the court on an article that ran in the Grant County News about a few ins and outs on that from the previous.
Hey, Dave, I have a clarity question for you. On that number that you read on page 19, 147 runs in the county, what? Is that what he was?
Yeah,
Okay.
it said 100, it was originally 146, and
Okay.
then they
Okay.
printed
I just wanted to make sure.
147.
I got it now.
Well, I got it right here in black and
Yeah.
white, if you want.
Okay.
But that's what it said,
Yeah.
147
Yes.
for 2018, and I'm thinking.
Well, and that was out, to Shauna's point, I just wanted to make sure folks understood, according to the current formula that's been sent to us, is that does not include city limits of Williamstown, Corinth, or Crittenden, and the call volume is much larger in the Dry Ridge area, especially one of the biggest differences in this formula compared to what we had been privy to a few years ago, and which really drastically changed the dollar amounts, is when Dry Ridge Fire Department declared in their new proposal that they would take all of Dry Ridge, not just the city limits. And that was in their district too. And frankly, I think I appreciate that, because it's very hard when you think of the equipment and things that are purchased with city taxes versus county taxes. Like that just, I mean, that was what, like over 400 and some calls that were there compared to probably what would have been a few hundred. And in the same token, those few hundred would have shifted to county obligation in that old proposal. And the rationale that we were described was they were also looking at the dollar amount really just being purely what it would cost to staff EMS, not just EMS and fire.
We got a county map up here too that would actually say Crittenden covers this area, Dry Ridge covers this area, so forth and so on. Dry Ridge territory is super large, but they done that themselves. This happened back in the late 70s, early 80s. The fire chief sat down with a map. I was at that meeting, and they all said, who wants what? And the Dry Ridge fire chief circled this big area, and everybody said, okay, it's yours.
Because it went at one point almost to Jonesville.
Oh, yeah.
Judge, because we're in Crittenden Fire District, and we were paying Crittenden fire dues.
Okay.
For you.
We got a full.
Well, your Dry Ridge goes right near you.
Yeah.
Because it takes in Mountain Zion, and I think Verona Mountain Zion Road, a portion of it.
Yeah, but where we're at, it's Crittenden, and that's what made me mad about that fire dues, and I told the other judge executive two ago, dropping that down to $25 is ludicrous, the same way as a maximum of 3 parcels, and letting people opt out of it. I mean, $50 is.
It doesn't fund it, does it?
Well, it doesn't. I mean, look at what we had to, when we had to finally redo the 911. I mean, it had to be at least $36, but then your fire dues is that. The other thing I would ask citizens to keep in mind, as Judge Dills indicated, like from a transparency standpoint, we just got a copy of the draft interlocal agreement, about a week and a half ago or so, give or take. And the other thing I think that we collectively have to keep in mind is what we are embarking on. There is no other community in the state of Kentucky entertaining such an agreement, nor do they have the opportunity at this point in time. And so I think that we have to lean in a little bit and be willing to learn, make sure that we've got placeholders in this interlocal agreement to protect all parties, Dry Ridge equally as any other department. And one thing that we've asked, which I don't know if that paper indicated, for there to be some type of review mechanism, because this is new for us and frankly new for anyone else in the state of Kentucky. And if done right, it could be a role model for other communities to consider, because both of our neighboring counties they have issues financially, and they're going to have to make some decisions on coverage and financial impact. And so It's very interesting, and it's not just us. When we see that, all the cities also have to agree, and their city councils and their mayors get privied, and hopefully that communication is happening both ways as to what the feedback looks like. Because at the end of the day, they've declared yet again a new proposal. Financially, it's much more affordable for all parties for the first time, and I think it's more realistic. But is it perfect? Probably not. But is it a place to start? I think.
It's just like the fire contract. You was talking about the $25 per parcel. If you got 3, you don't have to pay for anything.
We need to probably go.
That is absolutely ridiculous. You know, if I could afford to own 3 properties or more than 3 properties, I could afford $25 more for each property I own. Absolutely. And for you to say, well, I just don't want to do it, that's ridiculous.
And then to have an opt-out mechanism.
Have
And
that
by the
opt-out.
way,
It's just,
we've got
you know.
administrative hours tied up in processing the paperwork for that, because you have to pay it and then you get reimbursed for it.
These fire departments, what they do with what money they have, I tell you what, I think they do an outstanding job. I'm very proud of the one in Crittenden. I live across the street from it. And to see what them guys do on a volunteer basis is absolutely amazing. And the equipment they have and the training they put into it is absolutely commendable to them. They have done a fantastic job. They're on top of it. You don't see any horseplay over there. You don't see any wild parties and all this stuff. You know, volunteers get a very bad rap at times, but these guys are really dedicated and putting their heart to it. And I'm very proud of them. And I think we need to, on our end, when it comes to this ordinance, maybe review it and make it so it's fair to these guys and helps fund them better. The restrictions that ordinance put on these fire departments, I think somebody made a comment that there's a restriction in there that they can't have fundraisers like they used to.
They can have fundraisers. They cannot do the mailers.
The
that-
mailers.
The dues. The dues.
The dues,
For the
okay.
dues.
You know, it just,
And I don't think that's us. I think that's the state statute,
Yeah.
I believe.
yeah. And the restrictions these guys are under too, a lot of people don't realize what these fire departments restrictions they are under through the state, through ISO, through the insurance rating and everything.
It affects your insurance.
Absolutely.
Price that you pay on your property.
So any way that I can vote to support them, I'm definitely going to do it. And that goes for any of the volunteer organizations that are showing that they're doing a true effort to do the right thing for the people of this county.
Anything else? But just to add to that, Dave, we're really looking at this contract, and were you getting ready to say something?
Well,
Steve?
I was just going to say, over the last, whatever, since we've seen this, 10 days,
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a day gone by that he and I haven't had, and when I say he and I, I'm referring to Judge Dills, he and I haven't had prolonged conversations about the details. And I applaud you because everything you brought up were things that I was already, and he was already bringing up to me, saying, what about this? What about this idea? What about capping that? What about limiting the review times? All of those things we've been discussing, and not just those, but other interlocal agreements. I spent 3 hours yesterday, I'll be happy to admit to my own ignorance, looking at other counties, anywhere from Nelson down to Whitley and all points in between, looking at other interlocal agreements. Jacqueline's absolutely right. We're the only ones kind of doing this the way we're doing it, but looking at how other counties are phrasing theirs to try to make it as advantageous but also as realistic as it can be, and then taking those ideas back to Judge Dills to say, how about this is what they're doing here. And so we're looking at it with a fine-tooth comb, is all I can tell you, and we're really trying to narrow down the issues, so when we go back, we're not just saying, well, we want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Here is exactly what our issues are with that agreement.
And then you have to be careful when you talk to those counties, because today it's working, but tomorrow it's not. It's like Lee County, they bought this Macintosh ambulance service that was supposed to be making money.
Yeah,
I was going to wonder if you were going to bring up that article you shared with us. I said you shared that article too from Lee County.
Well, as Jacqueline said, we've got 2 close neighboring counties. Pendleton County's having some issues with ambulance. Owen County has their own ambulances, or their own ambulance service, and they're not in the unique situation. We have a excellent ambulance service already established by a city in our county that we can actually partner with to offset some of the cost to operate something already existing. So, I mean, I have no plans, and I don't think the court does, to get in the ambulance business.
Negative
It's-
from me
Yes,
anyways.
it is an expense. that will be greater than what we've seen through the jail.
First.
And we've got, like I said, a jailer that's brought some leadership into the jail that's really making changes there. And I don't know that I could deal with a jail and an ambulance service. Okay.
You talk
So-
to counties that has ambulance and talk to what they've had. I mean, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, we're
like
just
jails.
trying to do something that's fair and that serves everyone the best that with the dollar. So,
We went to a conference here early in the year, and a county down south of us, along 75, and them guys are down there just pounding their chest saying, yeah, we're building us a brand-new jail, and it's a 700-bed jail. And I said, oh, my God, you all have a clue what you're getting into. And they said, oh, we're going to make money off of this.
We just kept on eating our food, and we're like, yeah.
If we told them some of the nightmares that we've experienced, they were ready to throw up.
Because they were done committed.
Because they were done committed, and it was getting ready to open, and they was the proudest peacocks in this big jail. And they were going to make all this money, and I said, what about your first lawsuit? He said, what are you talking about? And I said, you're going to have a lawsuit in 30 days. So, yeah, it's good to have neighbors we can talk to who have experienced the bad, and we can learn from their bad so we don't make the same mistake.
anybody else have anything for citizens address? John?
This will be super brief. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that way you can pick you up on the camera there.
Okay, probably everybody knows, I'm John Souter, live in Dry Ridge. My first question, or not a question, this is more of a statement. Now, I talked to a lot of people around the county, and especially since that Grant County News article came, the primary amount of, or the primary people that make comments are saying simply this: will they please quit kicking down the road, the can down the road? That's what I'm hearing from the majority of people when that subject's brought up. And I'm sure y'all are aware of it, but I've been seeing this for years. It's been going on, and nothing ever seems to be gaining any gravity, any forward motion.
Well, I think it's clear now, at least on behalf of the city of Dry Ridge, is a decision has to be made. Either the county and other cities are going to partner to help offset some of the financial costs, or we're not, and they're going to have to get out of the business and make some huge, and I'm just speaking from what I could see. So,
Well, me personally, I live in Dry Ridge and I pay my taxes. I've never balked about funding that. I just think I feel like it's a civic duty, whether
Right thing
it's
to
just
do.
because Dry Ridge
That's the
is
right
doing
thing.
it
Absolutely.
and holding up the weight for most of the county, then I'm willing to kick in my part, and I'm not going to bellyache about it. That's just me talking. Now, other folks have other ideas, and I fully understand that. But I also fully understand that people have got this fixation, this tunnel vision about nobody's really getting anything done. They talk and don't do anything.
frankly, I think this is the furthest progress we've made.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're making great
Well,
progress.
I'm just telling you what
Yeah.
the general public,
Absolutely.
what their mindset
What their
is.
perception is and what they
yes,
see.
absolutely.
Absolutely. I said before I was ever elected, and I know everybody here said the same thing, that we're tired of seeing the can kicked down the road. And we want to get this can stopped and something done. And Chuck is aggressive in making phone calls. I'll call him and he'll say, well, I've been on the phone with this one, I've been on the phone with this one, every day. So we're
Well,
not
and-
reinventing the wheel, we're just going to make the wheel work smoother for all of us.
Get the grease out.
Absolutely.
And let's just put this out there, it's common sense, there's been a lot of time lost. And this gentleman here has had to step in to fill some shoes that frankly just, not much has been done from that leadership level for many years, and we're gonna pay the consequence for a little bit longer until we get caught up. And that's just being adults, and accepting that responsibility, and there's a lot of makeup that continuously has to happen.
Oh, I got that. But as a slight aside to that, a lot of comments when that subject's brought up said, why don't they just put all the entities in a room, lock the door, and don't let them come out until they get it done?
Well, the thing
county
about
attorney
that-
might have to balk on that one, but
Well, the thing about that
I'm out
is
of that deal.
you can't do that because of open meeting rule.
I know, I'm being a little facetious there, but telling you what people are
We
saying.
wish it was that simple sometimes. Then, of course, we'll probably end up in jail.
Now, the only other thing, question to Jackie, I've missed the last couple of meetings, and I'm sorry for doing so. But anyway, I'd like to hear actually up-to-date what's going on with the bridges.
Well, John, have you drove down there anytime the last couple?
I was down there last week.
Well, I'm sure you've seen the equipment and the construction is continuing. I have emailed as far as getting an actual date of is the timeline, what's it looking like as far as completion. We took a field trip there 2 weeks ago as a governing body just to witness the construction. I will tell you my bigger concern, because I feel like they're making strong progress on the new bridge, is if citizens do not abide on the tonnage restriction for Blanchett. I think someone had called in and said that they had witnessed a truck with another trailer coming across the original older bridge that we had worked really hard to get repaired. December, January, February timing, and the reality is that bridge is still very frail, and if we do not abide by that 3-ton weight restriction, it will be shut down, and then those citizens will have to reroute to 36 and 330 to come in on that side, and it won't ever see the full, it won't make it through until the other one's open, basically. Have you gotten, I know I emailed and copied you all
I mean, there's,
from
I haven't
the
heard any
state.
different than.
I mean,
what the
to me, it
original
seems like it's
timeline.
on track, and I thought, I don't even want to say a date because people become married to a date
Yeah.
until I get another email from the state in writing, of which I had committed to the paper. I would share it with them, and we'd put it on the Facebook page. But I just emailed last week asking for a status update. Does it look like the original timeline? Are we on track or off track? The reality is, as Mr. Tatum indicated, we've had a lot of wet weather. There's tons of equipment out there, tons of concrete has been delivered. It's kind of impressive what they've done, because they've demolished 2 of the older bridges, which they had to legally, since they would be shut down from that standpoint. Anything else?
No, I mean, they seem to be going daily on it, so hopefully the weather will hold out.
We talked to the people that lived on this end of the bridge when we done our field trip, the residents right there, and asked them, said, how's everything going? You got any complaints, any problems? And they had nothing but praise.
Yeah, tickled.
They said, this group of guys, we see them every day, they're working good, and they're always nice and courteous to us, and asking for our needs to be fulfilled, so.
Well, in their defense, I mean, they've got massive equipment, portalets and
Right there in front of their
tractors,
house.
I mean, backhoes. I mean, I can't even name all the equipment that they
they're
had out
very
there.
patient.
I've seen all that, but I just hadn't heard any actually real update about how they're progressing.
Yeah, we're seeking it. Only update we can provide is we visibly see boots on the ground and trucks and equipment and employees out there working. But we have asked the state for an update, and I'm confident they will respond to us.
Yeah, once
anything
and they were
know.
pouring all the
Like the
piers and
footers
footers and all that. Yeah, once they start putting that up and start putting the beams on, it moved fairly quick.
And I think the only other thing to keep in mind, as we were told when we first engaged with Norfolk Southern to even get them to repair the Delaney Bridge, is when we get to that point, we're going to be at the mercy again of the railroad company to schedule that freight that goes up and down. And recall, they had said this particular jurisdiction is one of the most heaviest traveled. And so I think it'd be tons of communication on there, and when they end up getting to that point of crossing over. At this point, it looks like progress has been made on that side of the road, and lots of progress on this side, but clearly nothing over yet.
Now, on that weight ordinance, 6,000 pounds.
3, yeah, I guess,
3
yes.
tons, 6,000.
Yes.
On the old existing bridge on Blanchett.
And that's the current,
But
Delaney,
I mean-
yeah, Delaney. I think I said Blanchard
You did say
too.
Blanchard.
Well,
You get them all,
Yeah.
because they're all, yes, on Delaney.
well, has it been upped any with the new ones, how they're being designed?
Oh, it will
Yeah,
not
the-
be a 3-ton when it's redone.
No.
3-ton is
Yeah.
nothing larger than a F-150, and what they have
Yeah, the new
reported,
bridge will be just like
Yes.
on the state highway bridge.
it will not have that
Okay.
lower
That
restriction.
was a question I heard a lot, and I had it. So I couldn't understand why they would have that in place and then have a fire truck, ambulance,
Right, and
stuff
so-
like that going across
so, John,
there.
That's
and
just for
they're
the
quote
current
unquote illegal.
old structure that's
Yeah.
there
The
now,
one
to
that
keep
was
it
fixed
usable.
or redone.
And when we
the
say
Delaney
redone,
Bridge.
it was patched, if you will. And I apologize for stating the wrong road.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If no one else, I'll give a reminder that we have our next meeting on Tuesday, June 18th, 2019 at 6:30 PM, and I'll need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?